Peace and blessings. My name is Carlos Walker, and today we're here with Mr. Lawrence Youngblood. How you doing, bruh?
Uh, bless.
Okay. So before we start, tell a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I'm my name Lawrence Youngblood. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. You know, I'm a self-published author, uh, CEO of my own publication, LY Publication, and yeah, it's pretty much, you know.
All right. So, if you will, before we get deeper into what we're going, tell me a little bit about your past before you went to prison. Matter of fact, how long did you do?
I did three Josephs. Josephs mean prison terms. I did three back to back. Went in when I was 17, came out when I was 19, went back when I was 20, came out when I was 25, went back when I was 28, and came home when I was 43. I,
Mm.
I've been home. October make 6 years, the longest I ever been on the street.
Hey, it's a
Yeah.
blessing though. You still here.
Right, big blessings. I mean, it comes through change. One of the things that my father, he was, he had his phases with the, coming up and in the streets or whatever, and in and out of my life. But one thing that stuck with me, what he told me, he said, when you get tired, you gonna get yourself together, and that resonated when I caught my third Joe. And I was like, man, I'm tired, man. I'm tired of this shit. So, and that's when the transformation and my journey towards me who I am today.
Okay. So
Right.
tell me, who were you before prison? Give me like little stints of it.
Well, when you want me to start, like from the kid,
Yeah, you can
uh,
start there and then how you led into whatever you did each bid that set you in prison.
yeah, well, like I don't want to say because every inner city, every ghetto, urban communities, you see it all, you hear it all. It's basically the same thing. But from where I come from, it's like a lot of violence, a lot of murders, drugs, you name it. And I grew up amongst that. Even in my household as a kid, I've witnessed drug abuse, drug dealing, violence, and so I came up in that environment, and I was pretty much a cool kid, growing up in the projects, in the St. Thomas projects. That's the tent wall, and surviving that, I say about like I made it to like 10, 11 years old. Well, I made it to junior high. That's when I really started rebelling, you know, and from there, from you reaching puberty to adolescence, and man, everything just went downhill from there. You know what I'm saying? And in and out of juvie. Then like I say, my first arrest, my first adult arrest was at 17. And that caught me my first prison term. I didn't get a probation like I did in juvie. They struck me straight to the penitentiary. So I mean, yeah, that's
What
basically it.
uh what led to that first arrest? What I mean, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, I
What
mean, I was in the streets. I was drugging. I was in that life. I was drug dealing. I mean, carrying a gun. I mean, you name it, man. I was that character. I was part of the noise. Yeah.
okay.
So yeah.
And messed around and end up finding yourself doing how long did you say you did the first bid? Was it 5 or
Well, it was like two and a half years. My first bid. My first
okay.
bid. That being it just put me a bunch. It just threw me and went with the wolves. Like And, oh yeah. I mean, always had a will to get myself together and want to do right, but it just wasn't. It didn't sit right. So I guess it wasn't that time, because I still had that foolishness, then
Mhm.
especially going back to the same environment, going back to the same people, the same places, doing the same thing. So it's like eventually I fell right back into it, and I mean, and of course, it led me back going to doing the same thing, in the streets, selling drugs, using drugs, and back to prison.
So when you first got your time the first time, not the juvenile, but
There's dope.
yeah, the adult time,
Hmm.
how did you feel?
Oh, I was sad. I was kind of remorseful. I was sad, especially because it was like my mother. She was there when I got the time, and how it played out in court. I talk about all this in my book. My life story, raised in violence. And at that time, I was just when I got back to the jail, it was like I didn't want to be bothered with nothing and just stressing. But once it wore off and it sunk in, I was like, man, I gotta do this. So I just I adapted and say, man, I just look forward to getting out in 30 months. So yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna push it forward. You come back home.
Hmm.
You then fell back, I'm assuming, back in the same environment.
Right.
How long was it before you ended up going back to the same routine, back into the streets, back into into that routine?
Well, it's like I when I got out, I had intentions to, to do right, but still, participate in the activity, the drug dealing, try to have the best of both worlds, because I was on parole, so it didn't. That was like, oh man, I was just like one foot in and one foot out, but I still wanted to do my thing too. But then I was a new father, when I before I left the streets, my girlfriend at the time, she was 2 months pregnant with my son. And so I came home with all that, I gotta be a father. I gotta, but look, make a long story short, I mean, shit, within a month I was back into the foolishness, back into the
Emotions,
food.
emotions running high. You're a new
Right.
father. You
Yeah.
trying to figure out life. Probably
Right. Right.
just
I
coming
mean,
home.
and I'm just 19 years old, you know what I'm saying? Making 20 in a couple of months. So it's like I left in the penitentiary. It's like you still it's still the streets, it's still the mentality. So I basically didn't even leave, I'm still stuck, and there's no rehabilitation or none of that, you know what I'm saying? So it is like adapting to another society where there's foolishness going on at. So yeah.
And then when you hit, like I said, emotions running high. So
Right.
you got a new kid. You probably
Hmm.
wasn't working at the time, so money
No.
got to come in, and you don't know
Right.
what you're gonna do. So the first thing you do,
Right.
run with the
Right.
emotions.
Right. Right. Right.
So how long was it before you ended up getting back into trouble again?
Like I said, it was a month. It took me like about I got out March 4th,
No, I'm talking about
1995.
before you went back to jail or got in something. It was a month.
Yeah, it's like I said, I got out of prison March 4th, 1995, 19 years old, and I would say April, a month later, April, I was back to slinging crack, and hanging, you know what I'm saying, hanging. But I had got a dishwashing job too, but yeah, it wasn't fitting the bill, and I mean, then my girlfriend, my son mother, she, we didn't make it. So that's more frustration and more emotions, and oh man, it was a hot mess, this, no guidance, this driven by my own pain and frustration, and this man, just kind of lost,
So
and
your second bid
Hmm.
happened when? Around what age?
That same year, I got out March 1995. I went back August 30th, 1995.
Mm.
I just had made 15 days after I made 20 years old. I got arrested.
20 years old, just got back in trouble. This
Right.
time, how much time did they give you?
They had gave me 10 years, but I had to do 5 years on it. From
Okay.
from 1995 to 2000. 90, 2000, yeah, right.
So
2000.
now you back in court again. How did you feel this time?
Oh man, I was a lot of anger, a lot of anger. Vengeful, I was vindictive, a lot of it towards myself too, because it's like I knew me, I knew my abilities. Just like I keep doing the same thing over and over. So it's like I had a point to prove to myself. Man, it's like get out, get it right this time, get it right this time. But still, I got that
Street
street
man.
mentality, you
Hmm.
know. So 5 years, I'm gonna do this five. Okay, I'm gonna do this five. But yeah, when I get out, yeah, y'all gonna feel me this time. So yeah,
So
yeah.
you go through this five. I'm assuming I know Mama was there.
Um, Partially because that's another story, But partially, but after that, I was on my own. It was just me. It was just me. And then it was like I felt they put me back into a more violent prison system this time, the second time. So it's like, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? It's like real street life, just we don't have the guns, but we got the knives, you know what I'm saying? So it was like gladiator time. So yeah, then they sent me to I wound up catching a aggravated a street charge, you know, and due to that, they sent me to the state penitentiary and
Mm.
it put me on lockdown 23, 23 7 days a week for 3 years. Yeah, I did 3 years on extended lockdown, solitary confinement.
Mm. That was a
Yeah,
lot of time with yourself and with your own thoughts.
right, right.
What was that like? Because this is the first time I've
Oh,
really had somebody who was done solitary confinement and had to deal with themselves sitting in there reading books, probably.
well, it was a combination of emotions and psychology,
Hmm.
but for the most part, it was educational and spiritual.
Okay.
Because I love to read. Everything I get my hands on, I want to read it. But that's when I really got good with my penmanship, and I was writing my books, putting it down.
So
Yeah.
you started writing on your second bid.
Well, at the end of my first bid, I started writing. At the
Okay.
end of my first bid, I started writing, but I put it down because I went home. But when I fell back in, and fell back and got into the cell, that's when I really started picking it back up and like, yeah, I got to get this together.
Okay. So you going through the bid, a bunch of emotions. They got you in solitary confinement. I'm assuming you came home from solitary, correct?
Right,
All
right.
right. Um, you get home. Tell me about how you felt and what life was like the second time you came home.
Uh, I was happy, really. I was excited. And I was ambitious.
Okay.
I was 25 years old. And it's like I'm a man now, but still a little immature. Still making poor choices. But for the most part, I mean, I was ambitious, and plus, I was trying to, do the right thing towards my mother and my son too. Me and his mother, we wound up getting back together. But due to the me falling back into that life, we didn't last long. So yeah, but for the most part, man, it was like, man, I was ambitious, and I fell back into the streets, and like I say, I wanted to be that man. I became that man, and
Mm.
and the more you get sucked into that beast, the more the more it gets wicked. You know what I'm saying? And man, it locked on to me, and before I know it, I was back to doing what I was doing. And back in there again 3 years later.
So 3 years, 3 years later, you stayed out for three.
Right.
You go back this time. This
Hmm.
time they give you the stretch, I'm assuming.
Yeah, right. They give me the
How much time
stretch.
did they give you?
I was facing 50 flat to life. So, but my lawyer, he really worked the deal out and got me 15 years. I was supposed to do 85% of it, but when I got to Department of Corrections, they hit me with the Violent Offender Act. So that means I had to do my 15 flat.
So if you don't mind me asking, was this just did somebody pass or something? Was it a murder or was it just a violent act?
Oh, it was attempt murder on a police officer, 2 counts,
Okay.
and an assault rifle. I had 2 counts of first degree murder, attempted first degree murder on a police officer, and convicted felon with a firearm, AK-47, and they gave me 315s all ran together. And I was supposed to do, like I said, I was supposed to do 85% of it, but DOC hit me with the Violent Offender Act, which you don't get good time for it, so they flattened me out. I had to do it 15 flat.
Okay. So this time you're in there. I got to ask the question one more time. What was running through your mind when you got caught this time?
Man, it was, I had a standoff, really, I had a 6 hour standoff, because I wasn't going back to jail, you know. But by the grace of God, that didn't turn out the way, what I'm saying, I intended it to.
God got a bigger
So,
plan.
right, right. So man, it was hell, man. It was, man, that was like hell on earth, you know what I'm saying? It was real dark. You know, man, it was sad. Like I said, I fell back in the cell, and oh man, it came to me like, man, I'm tired. It's like I gotta get myself together, man. I got I gotta make a change. I gotta do right. And like I said, I took them 15 years, I didn't want to, but it was like either that, hey man, when your lawyer tell you, man, look, we ain't gonna win this, man. So we gonna take this here, you be in your early 40s when you get out, I'm 28, 29 years old at the time. So he tell me, I'm looking at 40 like, damn, man, like, but that's be better than 50 flat, life sentence, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so once I fell back in prison, it was just me by myself, Then this was around the time Katrina hit the city, and so everybody, families had dispersed, so it's like it's really just me,
Yeah, no
and I
visits
mean,
really
but
or anything.
yeah, none of that, till like everything was like came kind of got back to normal, I found my relatives and stuff, but I wasn't tripping on it though, because man, I realized, I was mature. I said, man, I put myself there, and it was like I was tired of putting my mom through this, the foolishness anyway. So yeah, so I just took care of my business, manned up, and just started doing my time and doing everything positive to do, what I'm saying, come out a different way this time.
All right. So tell me some of the things you did positive to make the change that you made to become the man that you are today, because this is what this is about. It's about
Right,
forward progress. It's about
right,
how we set in prison and become, the way I like to say it, set in that cocoon
Right.
and become the
Right.
butterfly that you were meant to be,
Right.
opposed to
Right.
the caterpillar. Yes, you were, but who you
Right.
are now is what most people get to see and be like, yo, I remember when that young man when he was wide open. But today
Right. Right.
he's the best great example of what a man supposed to be.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
give me some of that stuff that made you become who you are.
Well, it's like over the years, prison had, you know, by the grace of God, it was kind of the prison that they sent me to this time. It wasn't. It was kind of like zero tolerant, and it was very strict. So you had to really walk that line. There was prison life gonna be prison life, but for the most part, it wasn't that much violence. So basically, just you just abide by the rules. The charge is yours. You know what I'm saying? They even had this thing where you had to say yes, man, or yes, sir, which I learned that's really crack character development. A lot of people was like took it like it's like some slave
Hmm.
mentality. You know what I'm saying? But it's really when you really look at it on a mature level, it's respect, you know. But yeah, it was one of those type of environments, and man, I just like I say, I seen the violence going on, the violating, but this time I chose otherwise. I got in school, I got in all the rehabilitation programs, anger management. I sought mental health counseling. Man, you name it, everything positive. I was into it. But I didn't. What I regret, I ain't gonna say regret, the Toastmasters. It was our plenty of opportunities. I had to get involved with the Toastmasters, but being an introvert is like when it's time for me to present myself, God gonna give it to me. So I use that as the excuse. But yeah, but for the most part, it was like I did everything. I mean, I had all nice jobs. I worked for the administration. And, everybody pretty much knew me. No young blood, man. It's young blood. This young blood. You know what I'm saying? It was just they knew me in a different light than that chaotic, the violent one. And just write my book. And by the grace of God, I self-published one of my a fiction book I wrote. Besides my life story, I also had wrote a fiction, a urban novel. It's a cautionary tale. I wrote that, and I was able to get that self-published. And so, I mean, I wouldn't say I was the uh, honorable prison model, but I mean, I did a lot of positive things. So it was like I was going into the right direction, which one of my counselors told me, say, man, you're gonna be all right this time when you get out. So yeah.
So you made an impact before you left.
Right, basically, yeah.
Like I
Right.
said, hate to use the model prisoner, but
Right.
you was a model to young men
Right.
who needed to see a better
Right.
model so
Right.
they could make a difference or make a change when they went
Right.
home.
Right.
And you said now you've been home going on 6 years. Well, been 6 years.
No, October makes 6 years.
October
Yeah.
makes 6 years. So
Yeah.
tell me some of the things you've done. One, you published your first book before you came home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That was that was in 2009.
okay.
2009. Yeah.
So now you that was your first book. You done
Yeah,
came home.
that was this one here.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that was your first book. Now your second
Uh-huh.
book,
Mm-hmm.
that's about your life story.
Right, right.
There we go. All right. So you came home. What did you do different when you got here?
Well, it was like I was faced with the same thing when I came home as the previous two times. Trying to figure out where I'm gonna stay. Relative not really trusting me, thinking I'm gonna go back to the same thing. So basically, I was faced with homelessness. You know, but yeah, but and like I said, I knew what I had to do. I needed some money, and selling, going to the streets for it. That they, first of all, the streets is totally different than what it is coming up. And second of all, I got too old. I was 43 years old. Man, I can't afford to be going back to no jail. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, you got to get you some money. You got to get you a job. So I started job searching, and that wasn't a cakewalk, but I eventually got one, landed my feet, so once I got it, I got me a second one, I had two jobs. So it was like, bro, I gotta get this bread, because ain't nobody gonna give me nothing. So I went to stacking my paper and then investing in myself, started investing in everything that I said I wanted to do, when I was in the joint.
Give me a few things that you said that you wanted to do.
I wanted to do my books and my clothing line, and I started off with the t-shirts, and I was hustling the t-shirts, social media, on the block, out the trunk, man, I was getting it. Same hustle, but just.
And this time, it's your product.
Right.
Is
Right.
with crack
Right.
cocaine, somebody else. That's
Yeah,
somebody
right,
else's
right,
product. So
right, right,
yeah, we got to cook it up, but
right,
that's totally
right,
different.
right, right.
With this is something that God gave you from outside of your mind.
Right, right,
And yes, while you have been through every situation to learn how to hustle, to learn
right,
how to get out there and get that
right,
bread,
right,
you learn to use every skill that you have ever used
right, right,
and make the change and say, you know what? I'm gonna push this product like
right,
I pushed that product, but
right,
this is a better product for the community.
right,
And you jumped
right,
out there. So
right.
all right, so for the last 6 years you've been selling books, selling clothes, you
Mm-hmm.
work jobs.
Right.
Where are you at now?
I'm still working two jobs and still pushing my books. Books kind of slowed up because I'm still locally, but I not to put too much out there, but it's like I gotta get it in. I gotta venture out, and that's my thing now, getting more exposure, getting out there, getting to know. But yeah.
So, because I'm also, I assume you are still doing community work. Same thing you did in prison, same thing you
Hmm.
brought out here. Whether it's
Hmm.
writing books, you still writing?
Yo, most definitely.
All right. Still
Yeah.
writing, still doing community work as well, because
Right.
you wasn't just a pillar there for people to
Hmm.
see. You're a pillar now.
Right.
But yes, the change may have happened there, but everybody get to see you. This 6 years, you're a success story.
Right.
This is one
Right.
of the reasons why I asked you to do this interview, is because
Right.
I got to see the light that's in you. I don't
Right.
even remember how I came across your
Right.
page,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
I seen you out there on the grind with the
Right.
10 and all, and I was like, yo,
Right.
I need to talk to him because
Right.
it's
Right.
who you are as
Right.
a being, man, that
Hmm.
I see you and I see myself in you.
Right.
And that resonated with my spirit, and I wanted to make sure that I could expose the world to who you are and to the material that God has put in your hand to shed light with how you can now touch the youth, because
Right.
the same things that was happening back then when you was young, it's still
Hmm.
happening now.
Still happening. Still
However,
happening.
there are people like yourself that has stories that need to be told.
Right.
And
Right.
if you tell your story can resonate with some of them youth and make the change that need to be done.
Right.
These politicians and people, they ain't, I hate to
Right.
say it, they done their part, but they ain't got the power to be able to make the change.
Right.
When you was in prison, the young men that you taught and that you showed your life to then, it's some of them right now that done made change because they got to see you. And it's the
Right.
same thing that I feel that we are here to do now. And that's the reason
Right.
why I wanted people to see special people like yourself who have
Right.
formulated, made the change, and now willing to share their life. Yes, I did this, did that. However, this is where I'm at now.
Right.
So if don't nobody else tell you, man, I thank you for being a better person, a better you. Because you can't
Right.
be nobody else, but you can be the
Right.
best version of you. And today,
Right.
you're the best version of you have ever been.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I
Right.
thank you for that, man.
Right.
Look,
Right.
God know how to
Appreciate.
create butterflies.
Appreciate. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate. I mean, sorry for the, you know what I'm saying, the delay, whatever. But man, I mean, it was in God's timing, you know.
Look, I was about to say
But
timing is perfect, man. Look,
right,
when
right,
things supposed to happen, they happen. And God
right.
allowed it to happen in his timing.
It's in His timing. Right,
And before we go, I want to
right.
ask you if you could give somebody a word of wisdom, older, younger, somebody in prison, where, no matter where it's at, what would you tell them?
Follow your heart, man. You know, the choice is yours. You know what I'm saying? Everything is based on choices. You know, and you can choose to go this way or you can choose that way. You know, the choice is yours. You know, and live your life. You know, stop hurting your mother. You know, we all going through something, but at the end of the day, man, keep God first, man, and keep on pushing, man.
Look, I love you, man. And look, my name is
Likewise,
Carlos Walker.
right.
He is Mr. Lawrence Youngblood, and this is Forward Progress. Thank y'all.